going on, everybody? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart, or Professor Stewart, depending on how you know me. And we are back for another amazing episode of Dope People. Dope People Podcast, where we highlight dope people doing dope things, especially in the field of education. And this episode is not letting you down. We have the one and the only Principal Miles Williams joining us today from New Orleans by way of Houston. We can talk about that a little later. But New Orleans is in the building. Shout out to New Orleans. You know, Miles, I don't know if you know this, but I went to Southern Baton Rouge. Maybe I mentioned it. This is what it is. You are moving the needle. You are committed to the work. I remember when I first met you, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And it was just your spirit, brother. Had never seen you a day before in my life. And of course, how we were connected has a lot to do with it, but your spirit speaks to it. You are being rewarded currently for doing the work and moving the needle. You are in your bag right now. This is your season. Before we get into more of your professional self and how you got to being the principal of your own school, indulge me, entertain me in a friendly game of this or that.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this or that, man?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
My kids, of course. So let's do it.
Yeah, man. So every episode we talk about the professional side, and that tells you who you are on paper. But the people want to know, who are you? So we're just gonna have a little fun, man, and ask some questions. This is not meant to catch you up or trip you up or make you look crazy in no way. Just to have a little fun and peel back the layers. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right, Batman or Superman?
Batman.
All right. White meat or dark meat?
Dark meat.
Talk or listen?
Listen.
Okay. Markers or crayons?
Ooh. Crayons.
Crayons.
Yeah, crayons.
Pancakes or waffles?
One, two. Waffles.
Waffles. You brought back some memories when I went down the food lane, because I don't want to go too tough. I'm lost my touch a little bit with the New Orleans cuisine. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna stick to
chicken and waffles is a go-to.
Okay. All right. Book or movie?
Book.
Okay.
I'm struggling with that because I feel like I haven't sat down in a long time to be able to read consistently, but definitely.
Fire or ice?
Ice.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruit. Yeah, fruit. Can't go wrong with fruit.
Can't go wrong with fruit.
Can't go wrong with fruit.
Tattoos or piercings?
Tattoos. I actually have like almost 30.
Really?
Yeah.
None are visible unless you.
Yeah.
Are any of them? I recently got one on my hand.
Yeah. If I have short sleeves on, you can see most of them. But,
okay. All right. Yeah. Teachers or parents?
Teachers.
Teachers or principals?
Teachers.
Wow. That's big coming from a principal. That's big. In-person school or virtual school?
In person all day, every day.
All right, let's talk about that. Why you say strong about that? In person all day, every day. Let's talk about that. Expand on that a little bit.
I mean, that's where the magic happens. And human connection and being around people, around connecting together. And school wasn't meant to happen virtually, or originally it was not meant to happen virtually. And so for us to be in person and be able to connect with each other and Even during COVID, when we were in person, but really had a lot of restrictions, it was so much better than being virtual. And it being in the elementary space for me, especially having younger students, we need to be in community. They need to be learning social skills. They need to be face to face with somebody. Being on a computer screen isn't serving them the best. And so I'm glad that we're back.
All right. Well, thank you for indulging us in a round of this or that and having an opportunity to expand on that last one. How did you get here, man? Like, did you always want to be an educational leader? Like, did you see somebody in your family who got you here? Like, how did you get here?
Yeah. No, thanks for asking. I think that there's an answer that I probably typically give, and then you just made me think about this when you said my family. That so I'm a seventh generation college student, um, and as a Black person, like that's rare,
That's
right?
huge. Seven?
Huge,
That's
seven,
huge, bro.
it's huge,
Wow.
and so to me, education has always been important. There's always been expectation, and so a lot of my ancestors were educators or in the service field. So whether that's being a nurse or a doctor or a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher and guidance counselor for over 40 years. Um, and so I feel like it's a part of who I am. But when I turned 16, I realized that I wanted to help people and that I liked working with kids. And from there, I was like, I want to run my own school, and everything that I've done since then kind of led me to this space. Like I wanted to be a school leader, but I didn't think I would be a school leader at 28. Um, and then two, you could have never told me I would be in New Orleans. And yeah, I didn't expect myself to be for it to happen as soon as it did, but I'm grateful that it did. I went to undergrad at Elon University. I played college football there. I wanted to go into education, but they told me that I couldn't do that because student teaching hours as a football player, you're unable to do it. And so I chose the closest thing, which was human service studies, which is essentially social work, and just focus in education because I felt like it's the greatest equalizer. I felt at that time that it was the the way that I could be able to reach the most people. I enjoy school. I enjoy being a student. So I did that, focusing in schools, and then I moved to Chicago after I graduated, taught second grade for a year, realized that there were so many one that I was not the best teacher, but then two, that there were so many things that were affecting my kids day to day that were outside of me trying to teach them math and reading and social studies and science. And I want to be able to have impact on that. And I saw that our school leaders had a lot of power and a lot of influence, that they had the opportunities to be able to make things happen for not only for the kids but for the teachers as well. And I was like, how can I do that? So I applied to graduate school at University of Chicago. Then ended up in a leadership and community schools fellowship there, and focused on how do we create systems and structures that best support students, the whole student, whole child. And moved to after I graduated, moved to New Orleans. Started a football program with some of my buddies here in New Orleans, some of my former college teammates that also were human service studies majors at Elon. And I was working as a mid-level administrator, just focusing on restorative practices and what that looked like in a high school setting. The system and structures at the time were not set up to be successful, so I basically was like a bouncer all day, just breaking up fights, um, dealing with conflict constantly, and personally, it was taxing on me, like mentally, emotionally, physically. Just I felt like there was so much more that I could offer to a school community. There's so much more I could offer to kids, and got opportunity to work at an elementary school. I reached out to a school leader who had an elementary school that was unique in Bricolage Academy. That is unique in that it was the most diverse school I've ever seen before in terms of race, in terms of socioeconomic status, and was like, the public school, and I was like, it was the first time. I've always worked in predominantly Black environments. I've always wanted to work with Black kids, but the opportunity to be able to work in an environment where marginalized kids are Black or white or Hispanic or Vietnamese, um, that was interesting to me and intriguing to me. And I was like, how do we create a space um, for all kids to be able to be successful and supported? And so I was a community director of community and culture, which focused on basically how does the school experience look for kids? How is it positive? How is it safe? How is it joyful? How is it inclusive for everyone? And when I got that opportunity, he told me, he said, this is a position that's never been done before. It's going to have a lot of things that are difficult about it, but also a lot of things that are rewarding if you're up for the challenge. And I was like, yeah, very, very much so. And then the other administrator at the time, Antigua Wilburn, who's now our CEO, at the time was a middle school principal, said, if you're going to work here, I need you to do one thing. And we're hiring Miles Williams. We're not hiring anybody else. So don't be anybody but yourself. Come into this space as your full self.
Wow.
Um, and know that like if you're committed to this work, that it's going to be worth it if you bring your full self into this work. And that was the first time I have ever been given full permission to be myself professionally, and to have that before I signed papers, before I step foot in the doors, to be told like be you. That was huge for me, and so was try to be the best version of myself every day in that school building for 3 years as the director of community and culture. And then by the beginning, probably on this time last year, realized that an elementary school principal was needed. We never had one before. And it was just, my fault. I didn't even say this part. So our school started 9 years ago. We're pre-K through 8th grade. Last year was our first year with the 8th grade graduating class. And so as we were a building school, we realized that we needed to delineate between pre-K 4 and 5-8, that more special attention needed to be going in one place. And so having one principal was not going to be sufficient. It was too much. And so needed to have two. We started looking around for opportunities for other people in the community to step into that role. And I felt that was the best opportunity for me to do it. And I've had nothing but positive support going into last school year. And then in like October, I talked to my CEO and said, this is what I want to accept responsibility. And from January till May, I was like the principal in training at the school. And now it's my first full year as principal. And man, it's a blessing every day to wake up and be the principal of the school. It's a dream come true. And while it's extremely challenging work, I was telling you before, and I'm preparing for the week right now, in a hotel room. But to be able to create equitable outcomes for our kids, to engage with our families, to see our teachers getting better each and every week, it's a special feeling, and it's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. And I look forward to waking up every day and going to work. And I don't know a lot of people who could say that. It doesn't feel like work to me. Obviously, there's challenging moments, but I'm passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do every single day, and that's special to me.
Wow, man. Hats off to you, man. Hats off to you, because not everybody gets a chance to wake up feeling excited about the work that they do. You uncovered a lot. Couple of things, and I want to point them out so I don't forget them. I want to talk about. So first of all, is this a charter school?
Yeah. So every public school in New Orleans is charter.
Every public school I'm from the days of, I remember Paul Vallis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember Paul Vallis, but he was
The name.
the superintendent of schools in New Orleans some years back.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former superintendent of Chicago Public Schools, or CEO of the school board here in Chicago, and recently ran for mayor here in Chicago as well. I'm a huge fan of Paul Vallis, and I think Paul That's new. I did not know that until today. That every school in New Orleans is a charter school.
Yeah,
I,
so after Hurricane Katrina, that was it became a thing to be able to kind of reform education in the city, and
yeah, yeah,
as you can imagine, it's got its pros and it's got its cons.
yeah.
Yeah,
There was a show that I watched on Netflix about a principal in school down there. I can't even remember. It was some few 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe. I was paying attention, and it was post Katrina. You also talked about. You mentioned the first opportunity you were given to be your full self in a role.
yeah,
Can you? This is huge. Can you talk about um, uh, who were you prior to in roles? You said this was the first time you felt that you had the opportunity to be your full self. So prior to that, what were you going into your positions as? Like, how were you presenting yourself? How were you showing up?
yeah. I mean, I don't, I do want to like say that I don't feel like I couldn't be my full self. I feel like I was a more like just diluted version of myself, and that like I felt like I had to be professional, a certain code of just like professionalism. Um, for an example, I think about what I would wear to work, right? Like t-shirt, tie, t-shirt, and I mean not t-shirt and tie. I'm sorry, dress shirt, tie, or just dress shirt and pants and slacks, like presenting a certain way because I was in very like more rigid work environments. Um, but then when I came here, I dress. I might you might see me wearing this to work. You know, you see me with a Black Lives Matter T-shirt, sleeve of tattoos, and some sneakers, and just coming to work every single day that way.
Let me talk. Let me ask about that. This is unique because I feel you as a black man working in professional environments. Um, I feel an obligation to. I had never felt that a black man could dress the way a white guy could to work. Like,
Certainly,
never felt that a black man could wear jeans and gym shoes and receive the same level of respect
certainly.
that a white guy could if he do it. So you're saying now you feel comfortable in coming. Hey, if you got on a hoodie and BLM and
Yeah.
you ones and all that, you don't do you feel as though you're receiving the same level of respect in that position,
Oh
even if
yeah,
you
certainly,
dress differently?
certainly. And I think that a large part of that is because our school environment is that way. Um, like the culture of just the school is one is like come where you are. Kids don't wear uniforms, so you'll see kids you'll see kids wearing pajamas to school. You'll see kids wearing costumes to school. You'll see kids wearing the same yellow boots every day. You'll see kids uh they come as they are. We want them to be able to be their most authentic selves and let people know and let them know that we're all different, but that's what makes us unique as a school community. And I think that because of them and presenting themselves the way that they want to, and are their families doing that, and we encourage our teachers to do the same thing. That it's normal for me to be able to dress how I want to, and still receive the same level of respect. I do think that as a principal, I probably dress more formally than I had in previous years in the role in my former roles. Um, I don't necessarily know why that is. Maybe I feel like I need to just be more principal like, but I think that's also because when people see me, they never think that I'm the principal, whether I'm dressed up in regular clothes or not. And so I think it like some days where I'm like, if I know that we have some funders coming in the building, or if I know that I'm gonna be facing parents more frequently, I might wear different things. But more often than not, I wake up and I say this is what I want to wear, and I put it on, and Mr. Williams is here, and kids and my staff don't. They're like, "Cool, you look nice today. Let's go." It's about the work, and so I'm excited to be in a space where um, what I wear doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that just a little bit more. So, when I wear suits, shirt and tie, I get all the admiration and the respect of the adults,
Mm,
my colleagues. When I dress down in my, whatever I'm wearing, the kids like, oh man, you fly today.
mhm.
So weird to me. Uh, but I'm gonna have to try that on. I'm gonna have to try that on. And I was thinking about the respect from the more so the higher ups, right? The admin, if you will, right? I think I just wonder, I question, and I think we have to be careful with that, Miles, because something that we're going to touch on in just a few moments here is you've earned your right to have this seat at the table. And if we're not careful in this conversation about simple dressing for in a professional environment for work, you'll have some kids that are coming out of college thinking that that's okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just that old school when I'm saying, and you're saying, hey, the times have changed. You can do that now as a black man, versus kind of earning your spot to be
Mm.
able to do that. Can you touch on that? Do you think there's a difference there, or are we just here? It's like, nope, it don't matter. You black, and if you want to dress down, and then we equal, and we can still hold that same level of respect, or no, you got
Yeah,
to kind of earn it
yeah. I
first.
mean, I think that there's a fine line, right? I think that I can say that I can wear whatever I want to because you can't tell me that I can't do this work, right? Like I've proven that I can do the work. Um, my credentials speak for themselves, and more than anything, my kids are my biggest advocates, right? Like especially if you're as a school leader, there's not any if I could that I can think of kids in our school community that don't love Mr. Williams. And that's not because what I got on, it's because they know that I have a relationship with them, that I care about them, that I'm pushing them to be great. Teachers also know that I care about them, that I'm putting in the work, that when I get there before they get there, I leave hours after they leave. And that's because like I put the work in. So it doesn't really matter what I'm wearing. Um, but I do think that if I'm I do think that part of me wearing my clothes wearing clothes the way I do is to be able to allow for young black men to be able to come in spaces and feel comfortable, so it's not like a I want to I can do this but you can't do it type thing. It's I want you to be able to walk comfortably into a space. But then on the opposite end is I also know like time and place when I'm going to be wearing certain things, right? I'm not I'll go to if I'm going to a board meeting. I probably would not wear this to a board meeting. I'm not gonna have my hat on backwards. I probably will have like a blazer and a t-shirt on, right? If at the least. And so just knowing time and place, knowing when and where and how I want to present at certain times, um, and being cognizant of that. I think that's the biggest piece.
It's a state of emergency for our black boys right now, man.
Yeah.
For black folks is changing, but let's just talk real quick about black boys. 84% of our nation's black boys are improficient, are not proficient readers by fourth grade. In the fourth grade, in our country, 84%. Um, we have. I wonder. I'm on this, and this is a conversation. These are some of my thoughts. Right? What type of responsibility do we have to our black boys, Miles? Like, I understand being a seasoned professional, having earned the right.
Right.
But I'm on the fence about. I'm not. Even, I don't even know if I'm on the fence. I haven't even gotten to the fence yet. I'm trying to figure out what my responsibility is to these young black boys, because there's a there's some groundwork that has to be laid first
Yeah.
in order to get the confidence to know when and how are you addressing that specifically, black boys, brown boys, minority
Yeah.
boys, black boys? How are you addressing that?
Yeah. They're the reason that I came into this work. I did not know that stat that you just said. I just wrote it down because that that's something I want to chew on and think about for my team and for myself, and like what our goals are for this year. Um, I think the stat that I remember from, this is probably like 2013, 2014, something like that. It was like, I think it was like 80% of white students were graduating from high school. And I think it was like 60% for black boys, something like that, something wild. And then like college was even less and whatever. And I just remember thinking like, why don't we have that same access, or what is happening? Um, and so now, I mean, looking at this, I think the word that I wrote down, and it sounds cliche, but I think it's about like how are we loving our black boys, and what does love look like? And so for me, when I think about love, I think we often talk about it in like a very like Valentine's Day commercial, lofty like way. And that's to me, that's not what love is. To me, love is like ensuring safety. So we know that they're safe. Whether that's physical safety, their mental and emotional safety, because if we think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like that's a foundational need in order for our kids to be, or anyone to be safe and feel successful. Then I think about kindness. How are we teaching young people? How are we being kind to young people? And how are we teaching young people to be kind to themselves and then one another? Because when we get those things, like those things situated, then if you're in an environment that you feel safe in, where you feel cared for, now you can learn and grow, right? And so then it's about being intentional about, here's where you are. I think it's so important for kids to understand like their data and like where they are and their position in the world. Hey, here's who you are. Here's what the reality is. You are a 7-year-old black boy in New Orleans. Your dad is in jail. And I'm not trying to put this as like the story for everyone, but I'm thinking about a specific kid right now. Your dad is in jail until you're 28 years old. You're surrounded by, you're living with your mom, who's a single mother, who works hard to keep you in school. But you also have like 4 or 5 other siblings. Your best shot out of your circumstances is staying in school and doing well. You're brilliant. You have so many skills and talents. Your behavior is not what it needs to be. And we got to figure out how we can fix that so that you can get to the next grade, how you can get to the next whatever, right? And then letting them know their data. So I think one of the things that we've been doing this year and been much more intentional about is like every where every single kid is right now. We do diagnostic assessments at the beginning of the year for the grade, for academics, for behavior, for social emotional learning, is to understand where every kid is and where their gaps are, where their strengths are. And we have what we call personalized learning block each day, which varies from like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the grade level, to get you exactly what you need. So if you're struggling in reading, we're giving you reading intervention. If you're struggling in math, we're giving you math intervention. If you're struggling with like SEL skills, there's an SEL skills group that works with our mental health team to figure out how do we get you what you need. And so I think that when we're talking about black boys, it's being very specific about the goal, figuring out what that goal is for each kid, communicating with parents about what that goal is, and progress monitoring. Like every 6 weeks, we look at everything for every 6 weeks. Is like as an organization, how are we doing every 6 weeks? I think about my leaders. How are you guys doing every 6 weeks? What's your goal? How are we getting there? For teachers, for kids, and we're constantly going the cycle, and we go every 6 weeks. And in that 6th week, we look at the data and we're like, this was working, this wasn't working. How do we fix it? How do we win? And I think that for black boys, we have to consistently be on top of that. Be very mindful of, especially in a diverse environment, like how are our black boys doing? Like how well are they doing academically, how well are they doing behaviorally and emotionally, and then when it's a moment where we realize that we're not doing well or they're not doing well, pivoting and figuring out what we need to do to make sure that they're successful. And then last but not least, making sure that they are able to experience joy. I think especially in not education, and in lower elementary and early childhood, we want kids to enjoy school. I want them to know that they're smart and that their intelligence is not based on any of these tests that we're giving them. that you are an artist, you are an athlete, you are a thinker, you are a problem solver. Because when your identity is rooted in those things, um, you, after whatever happens after school, if you treat people the right way, if you know who you are, we can figure out reading and math, right? We that's our job. We're supposed to teach you how to do those things, but you know how to treat people the right way. You see yourself and you have confidence and self-esteem and self-worth. Things are going to work out for you. Generally, I think that's what's going to be true. And I want kids to be able to enjoy their experience. And I think that the longer that we keep Black boys in school, that they see it as a experience that's fun for them, and that they're being affirmed and validated in. That's where the magic happens, and hopefully we close these gaps. And that 84% sticking with me, man. That's big, and I want us to chew on that some more.
Shout out to Principal Power from OSG, Off School Grounds, for bringing that data in the last meeting. NEPA data from 2019 is the results of that 84%. And so, yeah, man, again, you're dropping gems, you're dropping some jewels worthy of a much, much larger conversation that, I'm excited to see what that becomes beyond this, right? But let's stick to this purpose of why we're here. Tell us, middle school through high school for you, what kind of student were you? 6th through 12th grade. What kind of student were you?
Yeah, so I what type of student I was. So I liked school because I was a good student. Like, I got good grades, but I like to learn. Um, I still like to learn. Like, if I could still be in school, I would be. Grad school was fun for me. Honestly, my dad jokes and just talks about, like, you just don't want to work, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to work really, but also, like, I like being in school. It's fun. Um, if whenever if I ever decide to no longer be a school leader, I think I definitely want to just go back to school. But I think I still be teaching or learning. I think that's it's fun for me. In middle school, I went to a private school, all white private school, and was the only Black student. Actually, in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where I lived at the time. My mom was the only Black teacher there, and only Black teacher I ever had. She was my 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher. And my sister was she was 3 years younger than me. She was the only Black girl at the school. And so, as you would imagine, how tough that would be in the deep South, as a Black kid. But I was always affirmed as a student, but also affirmed as an athlete. And because I was a good athlete, when I wasn't at school, I was playing with my boys who were Black. But when I was in school, I was learning with white students. And so in high school, I decided I wanted to play ball, and go to the biggest high school in the state, which is like a little over 4,000 students. We had our own, like, freshman campus, so, like, every middle school fed into that high school in the county, and there was like 1,000 ninth graders at the ninth grade campus. And so it was a great opportunity for me to be able to join the kids from different middle schools all at one time and just kind of integrate and, like, smoothly in there. And I started playing football, played basketball and baseball. Those were my things. So I was playing 3 sports. Socially, I was getting a lot of, I was enjoying, like, that aspect of school. But then as a student, I was the only Black kid in my classes again, like, still, because I was in honors classes, it was in AP classes, or becoming AP classes. So for me, it was hard being able to, like, kind of fit in at first, because I was a good student and I enjoyed learning, but all the people I wanted to, like, spend most of my time with, like, I only saw them on the practice field or whatever, right? And so, or elective classes. And so after ninth grade year, I got more involved on campus. I was kind of became one of the guys that was one of the best, like, athletes on campus, and that kind of got affirmed. And after that, man, I loved being a student. I still am in touch with my teachers from high school. They were just, I think about the relationships. Like, when I look back on it, it was the relationships. It was people who were kind to me, who took care of me, who affirmed my identity as a learner. I remember my teacher, Miss Caston. or she probably like, I think she's Miss Martin now, but either way, Miss Caston in my 11th grade AP language class or lit class, I don't remember which one it was like, you're a great writer. Keep writing. And like, I've never forgotten that, because I was like, you know what? I like to write. I enjoy doing it, but I didn't know if I was good at it or not. And if I look back at the things that I wrote back then, I probably was not a good, I was probably not a great writer. But like, I remember her saying that to me, and in my mind, you couldn't tell me nothing, right? And so now I love to write. Like, I'm writing all day, all the time, because that's what I was told, right? And um, graduated, um, like top like 10%, top 8%, something like that in my class, out of over like 1,000 kids. And I remember always feeling like I was smart. Um, and that helped going to college, because when I got to college, I felt ready. Like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't smart. You couldn't tell me I wasn't smart. You couldn't tell me I wasn't capable. I was going to college with the intent to continue to expand on my knowledge, because I knew that I knew how to learn. And I think that that's what I want to provide for kids, is that, like, whether you go to college, or go straight to career, or decide to take a gap year or whatever, I want you to be able to know how to learn and know how to problem solve, because that's what you need. And I hopefully I can equip kids and equip other adults and staff members with the tools to be able to do that.
But that's huge, man. What's working for you in education? What excites you about education?
Uh, Phew, there's so many things I'm excited about. Um, right now, I think that, like, either we're talking broadly or just in my school space.
As an educational leader, as the principal of your school,
Yeah,
specifically, yeah, what are you most excited about? And if it's a plethora of things, rattle them off, man. That's a
yeah,
good thing to hear, man.
yeah. I think there's a lot of reasons not, like, for people to be discouraged, I guess, right now. But I think I see it as an opportunity, as a challenge that is exciting. If you ask me this on like a Tuesday afternoon or like a Wednesday afternoon, I might not be the same. But like on Sunday morning, on Sundays, I'm typically pretty optimistic and excited about getting back into the work. I'm excited about the people right now. My team, my leadership team is a solid group of people who genuinely care about kids, who want to get better every day, who want to figure out, or who want to serve and problem solve despite obstacles, which is encouraging to me, because the work is not easy. And so be able to have I have 5 other leaders on my leadership team, to have those people who are just good people, who care about kids, who care about teachers, who want to do what's best for our community, I think is huge. We have teachers. I have a group of veteran teachers on our staff who know what they're doing. And there's nothing like seeing good teaching happening, right? And I think one of the transitions for me going into this role is, how am I supporting teachers, not only one academically and instructionally, like, how do I help them grow in that way, but then also, how am I supporting them as humans, given that this work has been really, really hard over COVID. And then now we're dealing with some different challenges, from unfinished learning and other barriers. Like, how do I make sure I'm taking care of them, like their wellness, or just at least allowing them to know that that I know that they're whole people, and trying to make sure we take care of them that way. And so I think just the relationships is really exciting for me right now. And I think we also have an opportunity to, when I was talking about personalized learning earlier, to really cater education in a way that it's getting kids' needs met and meeting them where they are, rather than it being a prescriptive thing that, like, some kids can access and some kids can't. It's like, how do we meet you exactly where you are, what you need, and using the data that we have to support that, and then seeing how we help you grow. Um, and so I think that that's the most exciting for me, is that we're in a place where we have good people who are data driven and are using the time that we have to be able to maximize the kids' experience.
What's keeping you up at night, man? What's frustrating? What's frustrating you most about education right now?
Um, One of the things that I'm thinking about a lot is we don't have this problem yet, knock on wood, but just teacher retention I know is low. And how do we bring good people into the work? How do we keep good people in the work? How do we advocate for more money for our teachers? Here's an example from this week. We have traffic patrol who's been going around our school every Friday. It happens every Friday. They say that it's not scheduled, it's not planned or whatever, but it's every Friday they do this. And it's because, and this is another point, the neighborhood where we're in is being gentrified. So we have parents of students at our school who are upset that cars are being parked in the bike lane during dismissal or arrival, and are calling police or calling people to do something about it. But what ends up happening is during the school day, they go to different, because we don't have a private parking lot, they go to every single tag and check it to see if people have parking tickets. So our teachers are getting boots on their cars, are getting towed, are getting tickets, which they don't have the funds to, either didn't have the funds to pay for it originally, or don't have the funds to pay for the debt, and going further into debt. And so they're thinking about their finances all day. They're thinking about, oh, my car just got booted, and they're trying to teach kids, right? And so, like, how do we, like, and so I was advocating for my teachers the other day. I went out to the meter maid, and I was like, and I know that I said, hey, I know you're doing your job, like you're doing what you're supposed to do. I want my teachers to be able to do what they want to do and what they enjoy. How can I make life easier for them? Like, is there a way for me to know, like, when you're coming? Is there? And they were giving me some flack, but I said, ultimately, I'm not saying don't do your job. How do I protect them? And they were like, well, they need to park somewhere that's private. And so we know we have I know I have a circle in the back of our school that's private property. I park there, but I'm like, let me move my car. Let me pay off my tickets first. Let me pay off my tickets. Let me park my car somewhere else so that people can move right there, right? And that's a small solution, but like it's a band-aid solution, but it's something that I know that I can tell my teachers, hey, if you got some parking tickets that you haven't taken care of yet, park in the back and you'll be good for right now, right? And so knowing that financially I can only do but so much for our teachers who deserve so much more than what they're getting, it's like, how do we find creative solutions to be able to make sure we're taking care of people, whether that's giving them their work time back or encouraging them to spend time with their family, like maximizing the time that we have together, and then allowing them to be their full selves outside of the space as well, allowing them to be their full selves to work too, because I think that that's a huge part. And if you're not going to be compensated the way you feel like you should be treated well while you're here.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Need more educational leaders that think like that, for sure. Future of education. What does it need to be in your mind? What does it need to be for it to be dope? Doper.
It needs to be intentional. Like, we need to really understand, like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Is it helpful for kids to know this information right here? Is it factual information? I think one of the things that's different from when I was in school is that, like, we were learning how to research, right? Because we were trying to go find information. Computers weren't really, like, the internet really wasn't a tool that we used until like high school for real. And like, it was just Facebook and MySpace were just becoming like a thing, right? So social media wasn't a big thing. And so you were looking for things to find. Now our kids have everything at their disposal. And as their brains are developing, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, even more than that, whatever a larger analogy of that is, right? And how do we keep their attention? But then also, how do we let them know, like, what information is important and what isn't? Or how do they have like a focus? Like, I think focus is really, really hard for our kids. And so thinking about, how do we tailor education for kids in an intentional way? How do we use information or like IT or technology in a way that's intentional? Because it is going to be helpful for them to be able to go into the workforce or whatever they want to do to be able to live. They have to be able to have that technology. but how do we do it in a way that's limiting screen time so they can still be full like people, but then also maximizing the skills of what technology is so that they're able to go into this new space like we talked about earlier, like the metaverse and those type of things, right? And I think that especially for Black boys, I think about there's so many of our kids who enjoy gaming, who enjoy computers, who enjoy like all these things, and I'm like, how do I, as a school leader, bring in incorporate that into our curriculum, incorporate that into our co-curricular programming, so that kids are getting the skills and tools that are going to be helpful for them now, but then also like after school. And so that I think that's something I'm excited about because I haven't thought about it in depth, but know that it's there. And I want to be able to best prepare my kids for what's next.
Super dope. Super dope. Anything that you want, you have an opportunity to bring up anything, mention anything that I haven't touched on, and giving you the opportunity to speak on anything that you want to ensure that the people hear or know before we end this
Um,
interview.
yeah, I mean, I think that it's what I wasn't planning on saying this, but I think what we come up with all these educational reform ideas, right? And it can be curriculum, it can be charter school, non-charter school, whatever. At the end of the day, I think with like to keep it simple, like we have to create spaces where all kids feel safe, where people are treated with compassion. Like the relationships are how we win. Like at the end of the day, that's how we win. Nothing like you can put any curriculum in front of anybody. You can have any teacher. You can be the best teacher, instructional person in the world. But if you can't build relationships with people, if you can't take care of people, if you're not intentional about the ways that we're interacting with kids, interacting with parents, interacting with staff members, interacting with each other, and then we don't find joy in the work that we're doing, we're at a disservice. And so I think it's ultimately grounding ourselves in that, grounding ourselves in on what's important. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that it's supposed to be uh, like a place that's lax. I think that you can do those things with accountability. I think love is accountability. I think love is intention. I think love um, is structures and systems that hold people accountable. But I think ultimately we have to enjoy this work. We have to be intentional about the work, the time that we spend with each other, and then the rest takes care of itself. And that's what I'm standing on as a school leader. And every day I get opportunity to get better at what we do and learn from our mistakes. And hopefully when we look back in May that we accomplished our goals, because that's what we ground ourselves in. And if not, then well, no one else is trying the same thing, and now I got to go learn from somebody else. But I think that I feel pretty strongly around those four core things. And yeah, and I think that if we lean on each other, if we trust ourselves in making sure that we're taking care of one another, I think that ultimately we'll be happy with the outcome.
Brother, I'm 100% clear that there's so much more that we will hear from you, see from you, experience from you, being a seventh generation graduate of your own family, which is monumental in itself, and you are just getting started. I want to thank you for coming on. Where can the people find you? You're on Instagram, LinkedIn. Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, I see. I feel like I need to get back on LinkedIn more intentionally. Haven't been using that well enough. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Miles Williams, and then on Instagram, I have a platform that I want to make sure that I'm using for positive reasons. Bring attention to the work, bring attention to the school, bring attention to these kids, help my teachers out. And so it's the THE Miles MILES Will. And so it's going there. You'll see a lot of just who I am as a person, but hopefully I'm transitioning more to what it's like being a school leader. I think it's important for people to understand what that looks like. There's a lot of joyful moments, and there's a lot of tough moments, and I want to be transparent about those as time goes on, because I think people need to understand that. And then also just cute pictures of kids and cool things that we get to do day to day. It's hard. It's hard to be upset when you got some smiling kids in your face, and
This is true.
I enjoy the work that I do each day. I love being Mr. Williams, and for folks to be able to connect with me there. I'm pretty try to be responsive during the week. I'm not as good as normal, but as during the weekends. But love to be able to connect with people that's around the work, around just humans in general. I think it's really important to me.
It is an absolute pleasure to be able to sit down with you and have this conversation. You are officially dope stamped. You are,
man.
people. Yes, it is official. You are
Love it.
dope stamped. You are moving the needle for what we need for our people. We were glad to have you. I am absolutely sure that this will not be the last time we see you. For all of you all who are always checking in, whether you are in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, South Africa, Southeast Asia, Australia, Germany. Shout out to Germany. You all are logging in big time. So shout out to you all over in Frankfurt. You already know what it is. This is your man, Big Stu. You'll see us again. We'll be back. Until next time, peace.